Lesson number 1, how to tune the guitar. So this is a very important thing to learn, but also something that we need to be careful about, because these tuning pegs or tuners right here, if you turn them too much, too tight, they could break a string. So we're going to talk about how to safely tune today. So I recommended that you download the app called Guitar Tuna, tuna like the fish. And when you open it up, it should look like this. So, so it's displaying, it's sort of like a red line going down the middle. And when you talk, or maybe it's picking up that I'm talking, it's kind of detecting notes in my voice. So what you might see, I know you can see the reflection of my computer in the background. What you might see is if it picks up the sound of my voice, it'll, like it just pulled up a G. But this little thing, this little circle thing in the middle, is going back and forth from the red line. Now, what we need to learn is we need to learn what each string is, which note each string is. And I'm going to talk about that. Like you can see A, E, A, D, G, B, E on this side. And those all correspond with one of the 6 strings on the guitar. And the idea is, so I'm going to play the top string. So I want you to look at that for a second. It's saying E. And it also said -2, -4 there for a second. So it's pretty close to in tune, but let me let's see. So I'm going to put it quite low. So when you play your first string, it might pick up anything. It might even actually, if it's really out of tune, let's see what happens. Okay, so I'm just going to tell you now, this top string needs to be an E note. Sorry, I'm trying not to get so much glare. So it's still reading as E, but it's definitely not an E note. But it knows that this is the string that it's wanting. You need to make sure also that Guitar Tuna is on auto at the top here. So it should be swiped so that it's green. If it's not on, it looks like that. So when it's on, it should be green. So, I'm trying not to get the glare. So play that first string. It's registering as too low, way too low. So what you need to do is you need to figure out which way to turn your peg, and you need to look at your strings, which peg corresponds with that top string. So mine is the first one right here. You can see, you can just follow this string. Now you need to find out which way tightens the string. So how you're going to do that, you can either listen, and if you can tell when a note's going up or going down, you'll be able to tell right away. But if you're tightening the string, it's going to go higher. If you're lowering the string, it's going to go lower. So let's see. So I can tell in my ear that that's going higher. But if you can't tell, you can look at your tuner. So did you see how it's actually getting closer to the middle? We want that little white circle, red circle right on the middle. And when it hits the middle, it's going to ding the app if your volume's on. My speaker is kind of broken on my phone, so you can't really hear it. Let's try the next one. Actually, I'm going to put it out of tune. So the next string down needs to be an A, okay? And if your Guitar Tuna is on auto, it'll know it's trying to get an A. So mine is way too low again. Oops. So I'm going to tighten it. So the trick is to tighten, play again, tighten, play again, or loosen. And it's there. So let's make one too tight. Right, so the next one down needs to be, it's a D. And you see it says too high and it's on the other side of the red line. So we need to loosen it, which is probably the opposite way, turning it the opposite way that you've been turning your pegs to tighten it. All right, the next one is a G note. So again, I'm going to loosen that one. So your G, the peg might be on the opposite side. So I'm just going to follow. It's the third string from the bottom. I'm going to see which peg it leads me to. So it leads me to the last one here. So I'm going to play it and see what the tuner says. So too low. So again, on the bottom, you just have to figure out which way is tightening, which one's loosening. And how you do that is you look at the tuner. So remember it said I was too low. So did it get higher or lower? It's getting a little bit higher when I turn it this way. But some guitars are different, which is why I'm not telling you which specific way. Good, now it's in tune. So the last two, the second one from the bottom is B. So you just do the exact same thing. And the last one, this string, should be E. Alright, so that's tuning. I know it might take a little bit to do, especially if your guitar hasn't been played for a very long time. It might take a little bit. A couple things to be careful of is if you are turning and turning and nothing is changing on your tuner and you don't hear any sound is changing, you're probably turning the wrong peg, and that's how we break strings. And everybody breaks strings by accident. Sometimes strings break if they're old. So if your string breaks when you're tuning, you may just need a new pair. And that's tuning with Guitar Tuna.